All right, everybody, thank you for staying so late. We really appreciate the support. Obviously, this is Ensemble. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. On this particular chart, I encourage, well, on all charts in jazz, we encourage y'all to make noise anytime you hear something that you like, okay? This is not the symphony or the New York Philharmonic. This is jazz night, and that's why we're having it in the Commons. Now, that said, this particular song has a lot of soloists. So I'm going to ask you to please not do the applause part of your affirmation until after the end of the song, just so that we can get through all of the soloists, all right? So you are going to hear from, in addition to our alumni Jonah, our entire sax section. So enjoy. This is Gordon Goodwin's Act Your Age. next tune is going to feature senior trumpet player playing, those are called flugelhorns, and senior flugelhorn player Benito Padilla. And this is a special tune for us because when he was a freshman, or when some of these seniors were freshmen, we played this tune at the IMEC convention when we traveled to that 4 years ago. And now here we are coming full circle when we talked about what to play. He's like, let's do Back in Time again. And so here we are doing that. Special shout out to Gavin Murray, was the soloist then, and still holds a special place in all of our hearts, right? So, but this version that Benito has put together is really special, and the band's doing a great job making it their own. And here's Back in Time. Is this on? All right. So we have the privilege of playing yet another song that's actually never been recorded. To some degree, this might be a little monotonous to you, but I got to tell you how special it is because not only are we being offered tunes from professional musicians for which to play, which is incredibly difficult, but we're also being offered tunes from alumni. And, you know, we've had these three alumni here today. In all the years that I've been doing this, I don't know many other programs, if any other program, that has three professionals that come back to the school and continue to contribute. They clinicked us, and more importantly, write charts that we then get to play for them. So it's a pretty special thing. I'm going to plug the Fuel Room one more time, because that's going to be a really fun gig. But this is written by Jonah Schumo. It's called In Passing. It is going to feature Berkeley on trumpet, Jay on guitar, Evan on bass, and Nick on soprano, and then of course Jonah Schumo. All right, our last selection is going to sound really familiar, even by the title, Sing, Sang, Sung. So you might already guess what it's based on. Another one from Gordon Goodwin, which we featured a bunch tonight. He's really a very prolific composer and does a great job writing for all different levels throughout what we're doing. Hey, once again, thanks to our Jazz Night committee, those moms and dads that made this thing happen. My colleagues around the district at our junior highs here in the building, just doesn't happen without all of our support. And board members and our superintendent and district administration was here tonight as well. So we really are lucky to have what we have here. So let's finish it off with a party tune. Here's Sing, Sang, Sung.